you're gathered to meet.
Why?
Recording.
To the Forensics Party, where we are gathered to compete for the position of first speaker. I'm your host, Ross Gutierrez. And we have Michelle Bachman, Git Chomney, McMary, John Style, and Hugh Migrich. Today, we will discuss immigration, foreign policy, and the domestic tax policy. We will begin by having Mr. Stahl answer a question relating to immigration.
How do we make sure that our immigration is structured and safe for our citizens?
To begin, it is essential that we first secure the Mexico-American border. Right now, every Mexican that crosses our border hurts our citizens by stealing our social security numbers, taking our hard-earned jobs, and this is hurting our economy.
Do you have a question for that, Mr. Chomney?
Well, in fact, I do. Mr. Saul, do all illegal immigrants that cross our border steal social security numbers? Okay, so then how does your point hold up about immigration hurting our economy?
Very good questions, Mr. Chomney and Mr. Stahl. Let's move on to our next question. Ms. O'Bachman, here is your question.
What is your policy for allowing immigration?
I would provide them with as many options as possible, while giving them incentive to continue the process. Next, I would check where they come from to decide how much priority to grant them before giving them documents to become a full-fledged United States citizen.
That made absolutely no sense. So how can your argument possibly hold?
My argument holds because we have too many illegal immigrants.
Again, that made absolutely no sense.
Thank you for the enlightening questions and responses. How about your answer to that same question, Mr. Mary?
Well, while other people might give ridiculous answers that make less than no sense, we must maintain the status quo.
How would you like to respond to that, Mr. Mean Grinch?
Mingrinch, Mr. Gutierrez. Mingrinch.
Do you have a question to ask, Mr. Mean Grinch?
Mr. Mary, what is the status quo of the best way to handle our immigrants?
Well, you see, it is the best alternative because it is effective. It is effective because it gives every person an equal chance to get into the United States while in the waiting line. Ms. O'Bachman's policy would put individuals who have waited for a longer time on hold to let someone else in.
Finally, some logical Q&A. We will move on to foreign policy with Mr. Chomney.
How are we going to rebuild the peace with the Middle Eastern countries that are affected during the war?
That is a great question, which deserves an even greater answer. First, the solution to all of our problems is simply to begin peace talks and form alliances with those countries. They'll notice our goodwill, and they'll have to see that we did nothing bad. That'll make them like us, of course, and then there will be further talks, and this will lead to a peaceful world, as all peace talks inevitably do.
Now your question to that response, Ms. O'Bachman?
Yes. Mr. Chomney, how do you know that all of that will happen so ideally?
Well, we can see from Palestine and Israel. We began peace talks with them, and their progress has advanced a slight bit. From that, we can clearly see that following this plan will lead to a significant and resourceful alliance with the rest of the Middle East.
We appreciate your wonderful words of wisdom, and we will proceed to the next speaker, Mr. Mean Grinch.
How do we deal with foreign countries attempting to establish a democracy?
I think we should do as little as possible because what we did in Libya was not necessary. I believe that we can provide monetary aid for them, but should not provide military hard power unless it is absolutely necessary.
Now your question to that response, Mr. Stahl?
You are arguing that we only provide money for those countries that want to be like us if it is to our own benefit. Yes?
No, I am saying that the United Nations and NATO provide more help than we can alone because we need to work as a team to help these countries reach a democratic state.
But what are these smaller countries supposed to do with the funding they receive since they don't even have a military to rebel with?
These countries have alliances and rivals that will help them reestablish a military force to fight back with and reestablish the government that they so longly wanted to reform.
Good responses. Now we will move on to the final topic of tax policy.
How can we use taxes to help our economy?
Mr. Mary, this one is yours.
That is awesome. We can use taxes to establish a money cushion. And since everyone pays taxes, we can make a big cushion. So if we use taxes to make this cushion, we will prevent our economy from crashing.
How will you respond to this, Ms. O'Bachman?
Yes. What is the proof that the taxes will create a cushion for the economy?
This will happen because the tax puts money into the economy, thus stimulating the economy.
Would you like to add anything to that, Mr. Mean Grinch?
Min Grinch, Mr. Gutierrez, Min Grinch. It's not that difficult. But, well, what we need to do is remove the payroll tax cut that the Democratic Party has instilled because it is harming our economy. The Democratic Party is the main cause for our economic disparities in the status quo.
Mr. Saul, is there anything you would like to ask?
Yes.
How can you say that the Democrats caused this problem just because the tax cut happened at the same time?
Well, they instilled the cut to give money back to the American people, but we have seen nothing from it. The Republican Bush administration gave money into the economy that helped the economy greatly, providing the Republican tax policies more effectively used for the economy.
But didn't the Republicans also hurt the economy by going to war?
Yes, however, any war causes money. And now that the war is over in the Middle East, we can go back to what the Republicans began so long ago.
Thank you for the wonderful, completely logical questions and answers from all speakers. This debate is over, but do not forget to vote for your favorite candidate.